Hi, welcome. My name is Chef Fernando Mojica. I am here with Columbus State Hospitality Programs. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to show you a quick dish. I hope you've been enjoying the dishes that we've been doing in all other videos. So today we're going to show you an old classic. We're going to do chicken piccata. Now, chicken piccata, it's a very simple dish that you can do with very simple ingredients. But I like that dish because it introduces a lot of skills, right? So you have a lot of skills in the dish itself, from the protein cookery of the chicken to the breading and the pan frying of the chicken itself to the emulsification of the sauce. So for this dish, what we're going to use is we're going to use about 2 ounces of flour. Now to this flour, I added about 2 tablespoons of salt and 2 tablespoons of black pepper to season the flour. Now, later on in the video, we'll talk about why we did that. But this will help with the overall seasoning of the dish. Now we have 6-ounce chicken breast. We are going to clean these, take the excess fat out of them, and then we're going to pound them to make them flatten up and a little bit. It'll be about 1/4 inch thick. We have vegetable oil. We have white wine and lemon juice. Now, certainly you don't need to use the white wine if you don't want. You can certainly leave the white wine out and then just use lemon juice to that. We also have, so it's about 3 ounces of white wine, about 2 ounces of lemon juice, about 1.5 ounces or so of the oil. And then we have about 2 tablespoons of capers and about 3 ounces of cream. So very simple, very easy dish. We'll walk you through it, and we'll serve these with a little bit of pasta that we made in one of our other videos recently that you'll see soon. So we'll serve that with the pasta. So enjoy it. We'll walk you through the dish, and we'll see you soon. So we have our chicken breast here, right? So we season both sides with salt and pepper. We put a little bit of plastic wrap over them because what we're going to do is we're going to pound them down with a mallet. You can certainly use, if you don't have a mallet, you can certainly use the back of a satay pan to do it. But we're going to cover plastic wrap, season both sides of it, and we're going to pound them down to, it is about 1/4 inch thick, maybe even 1/2 inch, but you don't want them to be thicker than that, right? These are going to cook fairly quickly. So once we've done this, we want to bread them and start the process of making the piccata. All right, so we season them with both sides. Like I said, we pound them to about 1/4 inch thick. Now we're gonna bread this lightly, right? And remember, we talked about we seasoned the flour. So the reason we did that is the seasoning that we put in the chicken is going to absorb into the chicken. So when we introduce the flour, you want to have seasoning in there too, so that the crust on the chicken is not bland. So we season both the chicken itself and the flour. So we're going to take our chicken breast. We're going to lightly put them in the flour and just get a light crust. You don't want it to be too thick and too clumpy. Then we're going to put them into our hot oil here. And you can start here the sizzle. This is going to cook maybe about 2-3 minutes in each side. And then we're going to flip it right after that. And so we'll put the other one here. You don't want to overcrowd your pan. Now we have a third one here. We're going to let this go, give some time, and then bring the other one. All right, so these are starting to get a little color here. You can see it's starting to get nice and brown. So we're going to flip these. And then we're going to let that cook again for a few minutes on the other side. Now, you probably won't have to put this in the oven. These will probably cook by themselves. However, if you wanted to, or if they are starting to get too dark on you, you can certainly take these out after you flip them, and you can put them in the oven, 350-degree oven, for a few minutes just to cook the chicken all the way through. All right, so this chicken is cooked all the way through, right? We're going to take them out of the pan at this point. We're going to keep these nice and warm here. And then, so all this that you develop here is called fond, right? So a couple of things. You want to get rid of the excess oil, but you don't want to get rid of all the oil, right? The reason you don't want to do that is because we talked about emulsification at the beginning of the video. The oil that we use to cook them, the chicken, is going to be the beginning of our sauce. So that is going to be what we emulsify with our heavy cream to make the sauce. So you want to remove some of the excess oil, but you don't want to get all of it. And you want to save a lot of this fond because that's going to add a little flavor to the sauce. All right, so we took the chicken out. We're going to add our wine in here, right? That's going to be, again, the name of the sauce. Now, this is called deglazing. And what that is going to remove all those chicken that got stuck to the bottom of the pan, and all that's flavor. So as you can see now, the pan is nice and clean. So we're gonna add that. We're gonna add the lemon, and we're gonna bring this up to a boil and let it reduce slightly. You don't want it to reduce too much. But this is going to be the beginning of the sauce and the beginning of that emulsification that we talked about, right? So we're gonna bring this up to a boil. Add the capers, and we're not gonna add any salt at this point because the capers have a lot of salt already on them. So we are not going to add any seasoning until we're completely done with the sauce. That way we can determine whether it needs any salt at all or it doesn't. So again, bring this up to a boil, reduce it just a little bit until it starts to thicken, and then we'll add the cream and finish the sauce. All right, so it is reduced. Now we're gonna add a little bit of cream, a little bit at a time, because you don't want it to be too liquidy, right? But as you can see now, it only took a little bit. The amount of butter, or I'm sorry, the amount of cream that you will add to this will really depend on how reduced your liquid is at the beginning. The thickness of that is what's gonna determine how much. So you may not necessarily use everything that the recipe calls for. So at this point, that's it. We're ready to go. We do not want to let this boil any further because that will break that emulsion, and you don't want that. So we're ready to go and we're ready to plate. All right, so sauce is reduced, sauce is ready to go. I did taste it just a minute ago. Needs a little bit of salt, so we're gonna add just a little bit of salt. Again, those capers have a lot of salt in it, so your best bet is to just wait until the end, taste the sauce at the end, and decide whether it needs any more seasoning or not. So we're ready to go, we're ready to plate. For plate up, we made a little bit of homemade pasta. One of the other videos that we did recently show you how to make a fresh homemade pasta. But what we did is we cooked the pasta, tossed it with a little bit of olive oil, a little salt, and a little pepper. So we're gonna put this in the middle of our plate here, and serve that with our chicken piccata that we serve, and or sauce. So again, really simple, really easy recipe, not a lot of ingredients, something you can do at home, something that's ready to available to eat and to buy from any store and so on. So, but again, it brings a lot of skill, right? The emulsification of the sauce, the shallow pan frying of the chicken cookery, the pasta cookery, and so on. So a lot of the skills that you see in here. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that you learn a couple things from us, and we'll see you next time. Thank you for joining us.